Welcome to Gripping Tales. Are you ready for today's video? It starts now. Picture this. You just landed your dream job. Great salary, amazing benefits, corner office with a view. That was me 6 months ago, Sarah Murray, 27, finally breaking into corporate marketing at Pinnacle Corp in downtown Seattle. Everything seemed perfect until I met my direct supervisor, Miss Victoria Blackwood, 35. Now, I've worked for demanding bosses before, but Victoria was different. She had this unsettling way of looking at you, like she could see right through your soul and find your deepest insecurities. But hey, difficult bosses come with the territory in corporate America, right? I figured I could handle a little workplace toxicity. I mean, how bad could it be? I was about to find out that some managers don't just cross professional boundaries, they cross into realms that shouldn't exist. Because Victoria Blackwood didn't just watch her employees. She had a supernatural way of seeing everything we did, everywhere we went, and everything we thought. And what I discovered about her methods would haunt me for the rest of my life. It started small. Victoria would make comments that didn't add up, like when my colleague Jake called in sick with food poisoning. She said, "Next time, don't eat gas station sushi at 2 a.m. How could she possibly know that? Or when Emma from accounting took a long lunch to go to a doctor's appointment she hadn't told anyone about. Victoria pulled her aside and said, "I hope the test results come back negative." Emma went white as a sheet. Then there was the time I was running late because of a fender bender on I-5. Before I could even call to explain, Victoria texted me, "Hope you're okay after the accident. Take your time, but maybe avoid the left lane next time." I hadn't told anyone about the accident. Hell, I hadn't even processed what happened yet. But somehow, Victoria knew. She always knew. At first, we joked about it. Big Brother Blackwood sees all, we'd whisper in the break room. But as weeks went by, the joke stopped being funny. Because Victoria's knowledge wasn't just about our work lives, she knew about our personal lives, our relationships, our private moments. And that's when I realized we weren't dealing with an overly invested manager. We were dealing with something far more sinister. I started keeping a journal, documenting every impossible thing Victoria knew. The pattern was disturbing. She knew when Jake's girlfriend broke up with him before he told anyone. She knew when Emma's mom went to the hospital before Emma got the call. She knew when I had nightmares about work stress. But here's what really freaked me out. Victoria seemed to know our thoughts in real time. During meetings, she'd answer questions we were about to ask. She'd contradict points we were formulating in our heads before we spoke. So I did what any rational person would do. I started researching. Corporate surveillance, hidden cameras, keystroke loggers, phone tapping. But none of it explained how she could know things that happened outside the office, away from any possible monitoring equipment. That's when I stumbled across something in the company records that made my blood run cold. Victoria Blackwood had been with Pinnacle Corp for 15 years. But according to her employee file, she'd never taken a single sick day, never taken vacation, and had somehow managed to be present for every major company event, meeting, and crisis, often simultaneously in different locations. It was physically impossible. Unless I decided to test a theory. One evening, I stayed late in the office, way past closing time. The building was empty, security had done their rounds, and I was alone, or so I thought. I started going through Victoria's desk, looking for surveillance equipment, recording devices, anything that could explain her impossible knowledge. What I found was worse than I could have imagined. Hidden in her bottom drawer was a collection of small obsidian mirrors. Not normal mirrors, these reflected something else entirely. When I looked into one, I didn't see my own face. I saw Jake, at home, crying over his breakup. In another mirror, I saw Emma at the hospital with her mother. And in the largest mirror, I saw myself, standing in Victoria's office, holding the very mirror I was looking into. It was like an infinite loop of surveillance, each reflection showing a different employee, a different private moment, a different violation of privacy. That's when I heard her voice behind me. "Curious, aren't you, Sarah?" I spun around, and there was Victoria, even though I knew she'd left hours ago. She wasn't just standing there, she was sort of translucent, like she was there but not there at the same time. "You want to know how I watch my employees?" she said, smiling that cold smile I'd grown to hate. I don't watch you, Sarah. I inhabit the reflections around you. Every mirror, every window, every screen, I'm there seeing what you see, knowing what you know. Victoria wasn't human. She never had been. She was something else, something that fed on the stress, anxiety, and fear of the people she managed. Every time we felt overwhelmed, micromanaged, or watched, she grew stronger. The perfect manager, she laughed, never leaves her employees alone. I'm with you in your bathroom mirror when you're crying about work stress. I'm in your computer screen when you're updating your resume. I'm in your car's rearview mirror when you're dreading coming to the office. And the beautiful part? The more toxic I become, the more you all depend on me. You hate me, but you need my approval. You fear me, but you crave my validation. It's the perfect parasitic relationship. I understood then why so many employees at Pinnacle Corp seemed drained, exhausted, like the life was being sucked out of them. Because it was. Victoria was literally feeding off our misery, using supernatural surveillance to maximize our psychological torment. What are you? I managed to ask. I'm every bad boss you've ever had, every micromanager who's ever made your life hell, every toxic supervisor who's ever crushed your spirit. I'm the embodiment of workplace abuse, and I've been perfecting my craft for decades. I ran, dropped everything and ran straight out of that building, but I could hear Victoria's laughter echoing from every reflective surface I passed. Car windows, storefronts, puddles on the street, her face appeared in all of them. I went straight home and covered every mirror in my apartment, turned off my computer, my phone, anything with a screen. But it didn't matter. She was still there, whispering from the black screen of my turned-off TV, smiling from the surface of my coffee. That's when I realized the horrible truth. I couldn't escape. None of us could. Victoria had bound herself to us through months of psychological manipulation and surveillance. We were all connected to her now, part of her network of watched souls. I knew I had to warn the others, had to find a way to break free from her supernatural surveillance system. But how do you escape from something that exists in every reflection? I spent weeks researching, looking for answers, for some way to break Victoria's hold over us. That's when I found something that changed everything I thought I knew about my situation. I discovered that Pinnacle Corp had never had an employee named Victoria Blackwood. According to corporate records, I'd never had a direct supervisor. According to my colleagues, they'd never heard of anyone named Victoria. But here's the truly terrifying part. When I checked my own employee records, I found something that made my blood freeze. I wasn't listed as an employee either. According to the system, Sarah Chen had never worked at Pinnacle Corp. That's when I realized the truth that would haunt me forever. I wasn't being watched by Victoria Blackwood. I was Victoria Blackwood. Everything I thought I'd experienced, the toxic management, the supernatural surveillance, the escape attempt, it was all me. I was the toxic manager. I was the one feeding off employee stress and fear. I was the supernatural entity that had been tormenting workers for years, creating false memories and psychological torment to sustain myself. And now that I know what I am, I can't stop. Right now, in offices around the world, there are employees who think they're being watched by impossible managers with supernatural powers. They have no idea that the toxic boss they fear is actually them. Thanks for watching. Every ending hides the beginning of another tale, and ours is already on its way. Stay tuned. You'll find the next chapter right here, and soon.